Hi, everyone, and welcome to a very special conversation. I am Soraya Romero, the Communications Advocacy and Engagement Officer at the Caribbean Women in Leadership CIWiL. And joining me today will be Ms. Sheila Roseau, a very special person to us at CIWiL. And if you know her, Ms. Rousseau has worn many hats in her lifetime. Beyond her gender advocacy work in Antigua and Barbuda, her homeland, she has moved throughout the Caribbean and throughout continents, really flying that flag high of representing gender equity and women's leadership. So we are truly honored to speak with her today. Ms. Rousseau, thank you for joining us. Welcome. And we're so looking forward to this conversation today.
Thank you, Soraya. Thank you for that generous introduction.
You're most welcome. Now, Ms. Rousseau, I've seen your name throughout newspapers. I've seen your name all over the internet. And one thing that really stands out is your work throughout the years on gender equity and women's rights. So can you tell me some more about what fueled your passion for gender equity and women's rights in the Caribbean?
CIWiL, Soraya, you have me thinking now. That's a very good question, actually. What is my passion for gender equality and women's empowerment in the Caribbean region? Can I start by just saying that I think that's me. As a young person growing up, I've always had a passion for caring for people, for fairness, justice, and equality for all. And also in my former employment in the UK, where I worked in the health and social services sectors, and having experience and seeing firsthand discrimination, I basically have sort of engaged myself in terms of ensuring that I will be there or ensuring or supporting a sense of justice, fairness, and equality for all. And gender equality is about equality for all. Remember, it's not just about women's equality, it's equality for all. And for me, it's the alpha and the omega of my sense of purpose and reason for being. I've always had a passion for justice. And again, my spiritual sense and love for everyone is something that drives me also. And I always feel that it is our moral obligation to be fair and just to everyone. Yeah. And if we have better opportunities for everyone, I think everybody will flourish. And that's what we aim for, isn't it? So it's just not gender equality does not only benefit women, but benefits everybody. Mm-hmm. And the skills that I have throughout the years of my experience that I've developed, it has enabled me to make that impact in various areas of society. And with that deep passion for empowering women and children and women and girls to promote positive change and development. And I also feel very committed to effect change and progress in people's lives. And this is Sheila Roseau, and this has always been me as a child, wanting to correct all the wrongs, change the world, if you like. And of course, that I can't do it alone. So I also have a passion of working in partnership and collaborating. As I've always said, you cannot do it alone. If you want to go far or fast, you do it alone. If you want to go far, you do it together. So I'm a firm believer in that. So I'm very dedicated to advocating for gender equality and women's empowerment because of the deep-seated inequalities that exist throughout the region. And in particular, I think this will drive us into why CIWiL. I realize if you get more sensitive women, more women who can basically advocate, who can basically have the voices of those who are not there in Parliament, why not? And then, of course, over the years, we've grown and we've seen all the struggles that women have to go through. We've seen all the inequalities, the discrimination, and the list goes on. And of course, that drives me. When you see all the various wrongs, it sort of drives me to try and make them right.
Right. Yeah. I can feel your passion as you speak, for real, for real. And I know you spoke about CIWiL briefly there. Tell me some more about CIWiL. Do you remember when CIWiL was first an idea? And what would you say contributed to CIWiL being birthed?
The birth of CIWiL. Oh, well, let me tell you, it wasn't an easy road, and as I said, my passion for working together has really sort of assisted greatly in the birth of CIWiL. It's not just Sheila Roseau, it's Sheila Roseau and a group of warriors, women advocates, a network of women advocates all over the region who made it happen. Again, you're testing me now, because it's so long ago. Let me start off by saying that as you may recall, the Fourth World Conference on Women was held in Beijing in 1995, and they had 12 areas of priority areas that feel that if we basically take these areas, take actions in these areas, we'll be able to achieve gender equality to a certain extent. So, working as the head of the Gender Bureau in Antigua and Barbuda, we know we couldn't prioritize all 12 areas. So we prioritized 5 areas. And promoting women in politics and decision making was one of those areas, including violence against women, education, health, poverty. I think those are the 5 areas we prioritize. And we wanted to take action, our work plan to take action in all of these areas. And at the time, Antigua and Barbuda did not have an elected woman in politics. And there was a network of gender heads of gender bureau. There was a meeting in Antigua and Barbuda, I can recall it, I think it was in 1998 or thereabout. I remember that women in politics and decision making became one of the focus areas of discussion. And we thought that we really need to have a specific safe place for women to prepare them for politics. What is the reason why we don't have so many women in politics? I mean, what are the reasons? So basically the conversation started there, and the Commonwealth, I remember the Commonwealth Secretariat giving some support to the whole discussion. UNIFEM at the time, which is now UN Women, we cannot forget that, gave us some support in that area. And as we went about our usual work in the region, attending meetings, workshops, conferences, monitoring the implementation of the platform for action in terms of what needs to be done, it became more and more important for us to have an organization like CIWiL. It wasn't even called CIWiL at the time. In fact, it was called CIWIP. At one point, we battled a lot with the name. It was Caribbean Institute of Women in Politics. And we changed from, don't ask me when, because I won't remember when this change took place. Right. Then it came to the Caribbean Institute of Women in Leadership. We had several meetings and colleagues came on board from the region. We thought, politics can sometimes, especially for the Women's Bureau, because it's a government organization, sometimes politics can become a little bit controversial for the Women's Bureau, which it shouldn't be. But let's be honest, it can sometimes. And we thought organization need to be non-political, non-partisan, and independent. And as such, having an organization like that, we feel that we could, make a difference working throughout the region. So It always comes up. It usually comes up at the heads of women's bureaus meeting, whether for the UN or for Commonwealth Secretariat, whichever. And it started this discussion. We made many changes. We had different meetings. I remember a meeting in Belize that was supported by the Commonwealth Secretariat as well. I remember a strategy meeting in Barbados supported by UNIFEM at the time. So many meetings. But clearly, what I can also remember is a project that was supported, financially supported by the OAS, the Organization of the American States. The aim was to increase the number of women in politics and decision making. And that project basically helped to do just that.
Wow. I like that you mentioned some other countries inside of there just now. I'm inquisitive to find out how did CIWiL move to being a regional network? What constituted CIWiL being regional?
Some of the countries in the region, they had also selected women's political participation as one of their priority areas. That was in the Commonwealth Action Plan as well. And as we go along, as you know, the Commission for the Status of Women, which is held in New York every year to monitor the implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action, they use different themes. And I believe one year it was focusing on that, women's political participation. And with the same set of goals and values that we all had in mind as heads of Gender Bureau. And we felt that, and some countries, not only Antigua, felt that there's a paucity or a low number of female representation in politics. We thought we need to get together. We really need to focus on this, and we really need to. So a regional project would be what is required. For instance, when you're doing, you see, as I said, politics should not be controversial, but it is, it can be. And if there is an election in Antigua, we know it will be better for someone else from the region with regional experience to come and share their experience in Antigua, and vice versa. If there's one in Trinidad and Tobago, it would be, best received by someone coming to provide it, so that you're not seen to be partial in any way, because the organization, one of the aims is to be non-political, non-partisan. And we didn't want to be seen that, so we had to go the regional way so we can, and give it that clout, give it that sort of, also we mustn't forget CARICOM as well. CARICOM was also part of, they were also along the way, and CARICOM being a regional organization, we had to make it regional.
Right, understood completely. Now, as you reflect, right, what would you say was some of the highlights of the contribution of CIWiL and the impact of CIWiL to work over the years? I know CIWiL has done quite a lot, so this is a difficult question to answer. But if you were just to think about a few of them that comes to mind, what would you say?
Oh my God, a lot. And I'm so grateful for those women who tirelessly were and still working. And let me pause here to give my appreciation and salute them, to say thank you very much for carrying the torch, continuing, because as I said, it was a long journey and it wasn't a very easy journey. I mean, of course, you have disagreement and you have fallouts along the way and all of this, the usual in terms of organization building, what's expected. But what was very clear is that we all had the same aim in mind. And that was very good. The same goal, our values were the same in terms of what CIWiL should be and what it are, and what we want to make of it. So many accomplishments. Let us start by looking at what CIWiL was meant to do. CIWiL was meant to give education and training. It was meant to increase the number of women in leadership, politics, and decision making. And let us start there. It has done just that. One thing that basically comes out to me is and I hope we can replicate it at some point. It's a training that was regional as well. It was, first of all, one part of it was held in, it was meant to be held in Jamaica at one point, but because they had some unrest in Jamaica, it was held in Antigua. Then that was one of the major highlights. Because why I point this out, because from that transformational leadership training, we had a number of women coming forward into elective politics.
Wow.
And I can name a few. I remember one of the colleague of mine said to me, you see what your cause? She ran as a candidate for one of the major political parties, and she did very well. And I must say, all those persons who actually attempted did very. Even Anande, I don't have to go very far. The president, the president of the board is, she as well ran. From that training program. And we had persons from all over the region. We had persons from Haiti, persons from Belize, persons from Jamaica, Trinidad, from all over. And quite a few of them went on into elective politics and ran, and some of them won. Some of them were successful through our advocacy. As we went along the region, we normally have conversation, engage with political leaders and of the country that we're in. And I remember in St. Lucia at the time, we had a conversation with we met with the former Prime Minister of St. Lucia, and he was in opposition at the time. Because again, being a non-political organization, when you go to these places, you can't just meet with the government, you got to meet with the opposition as well. Government is very, very important. And we met with Dr. Anthony, and he said to us, we explained what CIWiL is all about, and he had how many persons on his party ticket. And as a result of that meeting, 2 won the general election. We knew we were going to get 8 for the first time. 8 women went forward as candidates, and two were successful. And those 2 who were successful, he gave them cabinet positions, which was very good. So the advocacy is very important, and that was one of our aims as well for CIWiL. So I must say, seeing an increase in women in politics after the formation of CIWiL is one of the greatest accomplishments or highlights, I must say. And you ask, I think I'm strained. It's so much to say that. To say that I'm actually going ahead of myself. You've asked about why regional. And, regional is good because you can learn from the various experiences in there. And we did not only focus on those persons who came forward. We basically used the experience of seasoned and experienced female politicians to work with, to give support to mentor aspiring politicians.
Mentorship, really beautiful, really, really important. I want to ask too, now looking at the reality of our Caribbean, and as time has passed, things have changed, in different ways. But what would you say are some of the greatest challenges now in the Caribbean for women and girls as they participate in the political environment? What are some of the challenges you see now?
Oh, the challenges. Ooh. Let us start by thinking that the promotion of women in politics and decision making should not be just a woman's issue. It should be everybody's issue. Getting the men on board, I feel that we should. I mean, when you speak about it, I often get this type of response. It's not just, what do you all want? Yeah, we have women as permanent secretary. Most of the women, they're permanent secretaries. They're head of boards. They're this, they're that, they're the other. But they're not in parliament. They're not where the laws are made. We want them there. So getting men on board to understand the importance of having equal participation of women in politics so we can hear the voices, that's more than 50%. In most countries, women, have a large women. Women constitute more than 50% of the population. So let us get them on board. So that's one of the challenges, and other challenges that we see there. Remember again, women as well there are other women, basically, because politics is sometimes seen as a dirty business. I don't want to get involved and blah, blah, blah. And we shouldn't see it as that. We can change it. We can bring some transformation. We can bring some transformational leadership into politics. We can be the ones to make it better. It's to get more women on board and not to be afraid to come forward. You have the right. I remember a former minister of government used to say that any woman, any man will be accepted to go into politics or to run for politics, but a woman must be seen to be doubly qualified and blah 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 blah. And and
Oh, yeah.
it's really not fair, really. I mean, we should see the value and the worth of women, and we should see the importance of having equal participation. We are just as, we are just as qualified, we are just as capable. We can, and also remember, I've heard it many times and I've seen it many times, where women are the backbone, are the workers of the political parties. Women are the ones that basically help to put the men in power. They're the campaigners. They're do all the work. And also, women, they must not be afraid to come forward to say that I too can do it. If I can do it for the man, I can do it for myself. And that's what I'd like to encourage more women to come forward and to, know your worth, know that you're capable, and, you'll make a difference.
Excellent. And again, like we can really just see, your passion and dedication throughout the years when it comes to women and politics, women in representation. So we really want to thank you for just, all that you've done over the years to ensure that, across the Caribbean, we're seeing more women in these positions. I'd like to ask, just reflecting over the years, what would you say is one of your greatest personal rewards when it comes to CIWiL? Just looking at CIWiL, what do you think is one of the most rewarding things for you personally?
Well, that's a great question. You know why? The advancement of CIWiL. Seeing how it advanced or how it has grown, how it has created or enhanced, or whatever word we want to describe women, putting more women in decision making and helping women to grow, and especially young women. And I feel that even though we have not really achieved our goal in having 50%. I believe if we continue to work along the line that we are working, we will basically get there eventually. Having more women leaders. I mean, come on, the Caribbean countries are developing countries, and we've seen it throughout the world. It's not, well, we've had women leaders in the Caribbean. We've had them in Trinidad, in Jamaica, Guyana, and also in we have what's it called, Barbados. We mustn't forget we have one right now. and I'm trying to think. You got to help me. I hope I don't forget any country with a female. Dominica, Regina Charles. So knowing that we have that to go by, we can continue to work. And I must say, we mustn't forget another achievement of CIWiL is the fact that when we had a female prime minister in Trinidad, I think it was the Honorable Kamala Prasad, she hosted the female parliamentarians from the region. Wow. And that was another outstanding achievement of CIWiL. And bringing them all together, working together, forming that network, learning from each other, it was great. And, remember, women are the leaders and giving their minds, their soul, everything, spirit, and to a worthy cause and worthwhile initiative. And as such, it's really just great to see more women coming forward, but we need to see more than what's coming forward if we want to achieve our goal of 50%. Right? In Beijing called for 30%. and we were nowhere near there. The country with the most is Rwanda. Rwanda, I believe, with 52%, I think, in Africa. And
Yeah.
Namibia, where I just returned from Namibia. I was
Right.
so pleased with Namibia. They're the second highest women in politics because they have what you call the political system that they have. They have what you call the zebra system. So for each woman, there's a man. And what was very interesting and sort of exciting for me to see is a lot of young women as well were put into leadership position in parliament. And I'd love to see that happen in the Caribbean.
Oh,
I'd
yeah.
love to see more of that happening because we have some promising, dynamic, smart young leaders in the
For
making.
sure. For sure. And I think even right now, when we look at the chapters, we have many persons on the executive teams who are young persons. I
Yes,
think
yes,
looking at the Jamaica chapter that just formed our most
yes.
recent chapter, a lot of young people in the executive positions. Let me ask you, what advice would you give to these young and even upcoming members of CIWiL as they join the movement to advance gender equity and women's leadership in the Caribbean? What advice would you offer them?
Oh, my advice will be don't give up. Keep on at it. Don't give up. Because if you give up, who's going to do it? I
Yeah.
mean, it's not an easy road, but continue to fight, continue to struggle. And I mean, build your confidence, continue to be confident and your capability so you can grow more and assume more. We need female voices in parliament to give a female voice or a female lens to the laws that we make. The laws that we make are for the whole population. 50, more than 50% of women. So by ensuring the women are there at the table to give their input, that is something that we need to encourage. So don't give up. The race is not for the swift, but for those who endure to the end. Be bold, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. I mean, we all make mistakes. Mistake is a learning process. You make a mistake, you learn, and you will not make it again. So,
Excellent.
so
Yeah.
continue to be bold and to grow so that you can, you can basically meet that goal of achieving the goals of CIWiL to have more women in politics and decision making.
Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to take that advice myself.
Yes.
Would you like to give any final words of greetings to your CIWiL sisters? I know they spread throughout the region, and we're really, really proud to have 9 chapters established right now. But any final words of greetings you'd like to share to your sisters across the region?
Sure, yes. Apart from thanking them for the tireless and thankless work that they've been doing, and I'm giving them my thank you, appreciation. I'm really proud to see how far they have brought the organization and to a structured organization with offices, a structure in place and doing such wonderful job. I would like to advise them to stay focused, to carry the agenda and not to lose confidence and to be able to bring, also, one of the things to bring the men on board. Remember, I used that as a challenge? Let us deal with that challenge. Bring the men on board. It's not just a woman's issue, it's a man's issue as well. So let us see how we can work with both men and women in order to meet our objectives, our goals, and to sort of get more women elected into politics. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ms. Roseau, for sharing with us today. I think we learned a lot about CIWiL's history, and I think it also really helped to energize me even more to continue on with my work when it comes to gender equity. And I'm sure everyone listening will be very, very appreciative of all that you have shared. I'd like to say personally, thank you for your contributions throughout the years, and I know that your fellow sisters across the region will continue to fly the flag very high. So thank you. We really appreciate you. And I'd say let's push on and move on to doing greater things in the region.
Thank you so much, Soraya. Thank you for this wonderful conversation. I know we could go on and on and on because we could talk for hours, but you know, time we're limited for time. So just thank you for your time and thank you for sort of having this conversation so that we can share the message with other persons. Thank you.
Indeed. Thank you again, Ms. Roseau, and thanks everyone for joining us. We look forward to having some more CIWiL conversations in the future.